Well, I'm doing this because I want to tell my story, take the reins and share on my own platform. Who am I? That's a deep question, you know. It's a really, really deep question. Oh, Lord, who am I? I'm just a beautiful human. Well, it's a story, experience that I've been through, so it's part of my story, but it's not the full story. Wow, okay, my childhood. I would say as a child, I went through a lot of adverse childhood experiences, and as a teenager, I wouldn't be comfortable sharing everything here today. I will say that my project that I'm releasing, I went backwards to go forward. So I did go through some healing and looked at who I was and how I was, and some of the things that affected me growing up in that project, although I didn't address them specifically in the project, but it was that time that I went back to. Yeah, it was very traumatic in different ways, things that I saw, things that I experienced. Just growing up in South London, you know, and seeing just all kinds of things, you know, like growing up on the Haygate estate, seeing like poverty, drugs, all kinds of things like that, substance misuse. I grew up in a like a family where my mum and dad were married, and I had a family unit, you know, but we still grew up in the end, so there was still poverty all around. There was still loads of different things going on and affecting people. How did I get into music? Yeah, so as a child in primary school, I remember sitting in church, and because I went to a church school in Westminster called ΔΠΤİＱᑲഃ, and every assembly we would end up in the church, and I remember sitting there thinking, wow, this sounds so amazing. I could hear the organs, and then they had like the choir, and I used to sit at the front because I was like, I need to see the choir. I need to see what's going on. I need to hear everything. I need to know. And I remember like looking over and thinking, I'm going to do that. There was this girl. She kind of like looked like me, and I just felt like I want to do that when I'm older. I was probably about like 5. And then when the chance came, I think I was about 9 in year 3, they said, do you want to audition for the choir? And I was like, I'm getting in. That's all I knew. And I auditioned and I got in. And that's where my love of music was like nourished and nurtured. I used to learn like jazz songs, and I used to love like in primary school when we used to play like the percussion instruments. It was a bit dry, yeah. Compared to like, you know, like nowadays. I think it was really nice, it was raw, like we had all the percussion instruments, and I used to love like making up my own beats and stuff like that. I would say that my mum and dad also inspired my love for music, because my dad comes from Ghana, you know, it's a rich culture, music everywhere there, and my mum's from Liverpool. Everywhere you go in Liverpool, there's someone playing live and singing and stuff like that. So, you know, my mum definitely was always listening to music. She always had headphones on, probably like to drown me and my younger sibling out. You know, we'd be making up noise and she's got a headphone. But yeah, I definitely think like hearing different, you know, like going to the African parties as well, hearing all the music and stuff. Well, my personal journey, when I got into music, I really didn't know anything. I was used to look to everyone else who had more experience than myself to like guide me, to tell me if something that I was doing sounded good, and also just like, you know, when I first got into music, you know, when someone's like, yeah, you should do this and you should do that because that's what's popping now, to kind of feel like I have to do that and fit into the box of what is now, and I always connected with producers that had their own sound, so I ended up doing like, you know, hip hop, which I love, but that's not really me. I have elements, but it's not really me. And EDM music, electronic dance music, like it's okay, but it's not where my soul sits. So I found myself going down different paths that maybe I didn't need to get to me, the artist that I was, but it shaped me into who I am today, so I'm grateful for that. And then there was the other side of things where, you know, you go in the studio, you've got producers that are a bit touchy-feely, making comments, like trying to get with you, portraying like they're, you know, wanting to work with you. You start recording, then they start telling you to pay with, you know, your body, like that, and you're thinking, and the thing is, and some of the times I used to like nip it in the bud, but then I would kind of think, I need to get my project. I need to get what I've recorded, I've worked on, do you know what I mean? For the most part, I was with a team called Beat Bakers Inc. It was like a writers team, and I had good producers and I had good people around me, but there were some people that like tried to put me in positions that I didn't want to be in and abuse their power. There's a lot of guys that are like that, and I think as young, like when you're young, you're just so like, I just want to get on with this and I just want to do what I'm doing, and you think that people are genuine because you're there, you turn up to work, innit? You turn up to, this is your work environment. It's like sexual harassment in the workplace, like that's what it feels like. And you know, I've had conversations where I'm like, oh, so how much are you charging me? What's the splits? How are we going to work it out and stuff like that? And they've turned around and said, no, you're good. Like, we're just going to do 50-50. But my advice is to put it in writing. Write an email, have someone there, take someone to the studio with you. Don't just go and put yourself in dangerous situations, because not everyone is genuine, not everyone has good intentions. So my advice is take someone with you and put it in writing, and if you can pay. To be honest with you, that's the reason why I set up my own studio in my house. I saved my money and I learned how to produce and compose, and you know, I can engineer a little bit, it can get me by, but that's something where I'm going to be focusing on now. It's safety as well, and it's empowering for you to do your own thing, not just because you have control, but because you can dive into your creativity. As soon as I started producing and composing and recording myself, I could fly. I'm flying high. No one can't tell me nothing, because I did it myself. And it's not about, oh, I did it, because I love collaboration. You know, collaboration is key. But if you've got, like me, I'm a visionary person and I've got all this creativity inside of my head, my mind, my soul, I need to get it out. But no one can't hear that. No one can't hear what's in my head. No one can't feel what's in my heart. So I think the best thing is for you to empower yourself. And I think a lot of people are doing that these days, aren't they? But especially I think it's the way forward for women. I decided to release more music, to do a documentary, to speak about the story of what happened from my perspective when my son's father was murdered, and his passing and how that impacted me, because the project that I'm going to be releasing alongside As Strange As It Seems is called It Could Be Worse. I want to tell the story from my perspective, because some people have made sort of like mini documentaries about him and how he was and all this stuff, and it's kind of like hyped up and like there's some fabricated things in there as well. And I want to tell the story, and my project is dope, so I need people to understand the story behind the project. Yeah, he was murdered on the 2nd of June 2011. At the time, I couldn't breathe when I found out the news. When you listen to the project, you will be able to hear exactly how I felt and the emotion behind it, but I literally, it took my breath away at the time, and it paralyzed me. I use it in a cathartic way, and it's my therapy. Like, it's always been my therapy. The reason why I got into like taking music serious, well, I fell into it like an accident. After my father passed away, that's when I started to express and I started to write and I started to get all my feelings out. And then from there, one thing led to another. So it's just my go-to. It's my healing space. It's where I feel good, which is why which is why a lot of the time I feel like I do hold back my creations because they're so like meaningful to me. Of course, I think I'm very emotional in business as well. Like, I can't work with people unless I make a connection with them. I don't just like to work with anyone that we don't have a rapport and stuff like that. So like, for example, I've had videographers, I've had producers, and when they've done something that's gone against my values, I'm like, cut, it's okay, move on. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Well, when my dad passed away, he passed away in front of me. So I've dealt with like grief and bereavement and loss before. And that was very, very, very traumatizing to the point I had like post-traumatic stress disorder. I ended up doing like mindfulness and things like that to like overcome that experience. But as soon as I got over that part of and done that healing, my son's father was murdered. Kirk, his name's Kirk. Kirk was murdered. I don't ever say that. I don't know why. I always say my son's father, but Kirk was murdered. My partner, yeah. And like I said, it left me paralyzed. So my father's passing ignited my creativity. That's when I started to express more and want to do like personal development and grow and share my voice, even though I was scared to do that. And then when Kirk passed away, it just froze. I froze. I had a lot of anxiety. I had performance anxiety. When I was on stage, it felt like I had like an out-of-body experience. I ended up like feeling like I was in the Matrix, like everyone froze and I felt like I was just going like, this is how it felt. Obviously that wasn't happening, but to me it was like, it was the weirdest thing. And at that time I was actually opening up for there was an event, it was Love Dough Live. A$AP Rocky was headlining, Cleo Soul was there, and another lady called Kimberly Ann, another girl called Kimberly Ann. And it was a big thing for me. And like, I started having stage fright. I started having all these kind of things that was happening. It's like the way that I felt from the passing of Kirk started to affect my performance. And I didn't know what to do. It affected me when I was in the studio with Getz one time and I broke down because it was my birthday. And I thought, because he was like, said to the producer that I was working with at the time, oh, I want her to be on my J. Clark album. And he sent me the song. I was gassed, yeah, because this is someone I used to look up to. And then I went to the studio and I thought I was doing the right thing by staying, even though I felt how I felt. I got a phone call from someone in Jamaica because it was my birthday, and then I just broke down because I felt like he didn't call me on my birthday. This was like, he died on the 2nd of June. By the 28th of October of that same year, it's only a couple months, isn't it? And I thought, what better to be in the studio on your birthday with Getz recording? Like, there's no better thing to do. And I broke down to the point that I couldn't even proceed with the recording. I didn't even get to be on the project because it just destroyed like the whole session. It mashed it up. Even though everyone was understanding, it was like he's there to record his project, so he's paying for his session, he's getting off what he's doing, and it's a, you know, that's work, innit? And I'm like breaking down, and the song what he gave me was very emotional as well, and he was talking about some things that he went through, and I was just being triggered. So I had a lot of triggers. I had a lot of anxiety, I had performance anxiety, and I feel like I was a bit of an emotional wreck. As a mum, I was still doing what I needed to do, but I just couldn't function in my creativity to the fullest. It did get worse. It got worse. What are we talking about? My health? Okay. So, fast forward, I definitely feel that those emotional, traumatic things impacted the way that I felt about myself, treated myself in terms of my eating, and just how I felt about life, really. I remember feeling like, I don't want to be here anymore. Not like I don't want to be here in this world, I just don't want to be here like this. I don't want to exist like this. I was crying, like down, upset, feeling depressed, because I had a lot of like reactive depression and stuff like that. So during lockdown, obviously 2020, everything got locked down. I was getting on with my life, and I had put on a lot of weight though because I was emotionally eating. Although I was doing the work and I was going counselling to deal with some of the emotional stuff that I'd gone through, I just couldn't let go of certain things. I couldn't let go. I didn't want to let go of my son's father. I didn't want to do that. That was like the most hardest thing that I have had to do. And in the end, I just remember I went on a couple of courses, learned to produce and all these kind of things. I do videography. And I felt like, yeah, I'm going to get back into my exercise, I'm going to lose the weight, I'm going to look good, feel good. And then my mindfulness mentor passed away. Actually, before that, on the 25th of December 2020, my hard drive broke down. Everything, 2 years worth of work just gone. The hard drive malfunctioned, and I was crying from the 25th of December until like the 6th of January. I was just, I was mourning, I was in grief, like it was so horrible. I lost 2 years of a documentary that I'd worked on. I lost so many interviews, footage. I lost like 3 to 4 EPs, an album. I lost pictures, I lost memories. I just lost everything, my business stuff, just everything. Then my mindfulness mentor passed away of COVID on the 6th of January. And it's like, I thought, I can't cry over this hard drive anymore. And then I started to grieve him. By the 17th of February, 2021, I just started to feel something wasn't right. Something was affecting my throat. Something was affecting my voice because I'm very sensitive of my vocals and my body. And then something was affecting that. And I just felt irritated. Like I kept going. I thought it was because I was doing lives more. I thought it's because I was talking online on Instagram, and I was doing interviews online, and I just felt like I've been talking a lot. You know, I'm taking part on courses and songwriters retreats and all these different types of stuff, and I just felt like it was because of that, but it wasn't. I was diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and the lymphoma was actually on my tonsils, so that's what was irritating my vocal cords. Obviously I didn't know that at the time, and like I started to feel like my throat was a bit swollen, but it didn't look swollen, but it started to feel funny. I asked my mum, does it look swollen? She was like, no, it doesn't, maybe, I don't know, not really. But if you feel funny, contact your doctor. And then I went online and I Googled like what could cause a swollen throat, what could irritate your throat. And I've always been advised by my nurses, my doctors, even in my GP, not to do that. But for me, it was something that saved my life, to be honest with you. Because I'm a big researcher. So I researched what was causing that, what could cause that. And it said anything from a swollen gland to cancer. Obviously, I don't know what type it said. I can't remember. But within myself, for some reason, I think it's down that end. And I could have been catastrophizing, but at the same time, I just thought, I need to check what symptoms are for that. Like, that's what I need to do, because that's where my intuition went. So I looked at the symptoms checker. It was saying that if it was your gland, it would feel like it hurts a bit, like you would be able to feel something, but I couldn't feel anything. Then when it said about the cancer, it said that if you feel a lump on your collarbone and it doesn't hurt, then it could be that. Because sometimes you can have lumps in your body and they're benign, they're not cancerous. So I touched here and I could feel a lump. I called my best friend and I told him. No, actually, I told my mum, because she was in my house on the day. But I called my best friend, Andre, and I was like, Andre, I found a lump. And he's like, I think you'll be all right. Because I'm saying, I think it could be. And he's like, no, I think you're all right. I'm going to come round. And he flew round to my house that same day. Big up, Andre. I love you. I do. This man used to cook me soup every 2 weeks during my journey. We laugh about it now because he was like, I know you was getting fed up of soup every 2 weeks, but I wanted to give you the nourishment. And then I went alkaline and I used to argue with him. I'm like, I'm not eating that. I only want to eat alkaline. And then he was like, no, you need more. You need this, you need that. But he made me my alkaline food. I love him so much. My best friend, my family. I'm going off on the sidetrack. But yeah, that's essentially what happened. Then I contacted the doctor. Because it was during COVID, the doctor kind of said, yeah, you can't come in because, COVID. So what we're going to do is, it's probably just a swollen gland. Wait a week and see if it doesn't go down. So that's what I did. I waited and it hadn't gone down. Yeah, my mental health was going through the roof a little bit because I was worrying and feeling anxious. But I was just kind of carried on as normal because at that point, the rest of the symptoms hadn't started happening. After that, what happened, I just got on with life as normal, kind of forgot about it a little bit, waited a week and then contacted them back. And then she was like, okay, I'll book you in for an appointment. But she's saying it's probably just a swollen gland. So I think she booked me in whenever they could put me in it. But within that about 2 weeks period, I deteriorated rapidly to the point where I was literally like slumped on the chair and I just couldn't move. And the life force was draining out of me. Now I know it's called fatigue. At the time I didn't know what fatigue was. I remember phoning up again and saying, look, I don't feel very well and I know I have an appointment, but I've got this lump, it's not going down, and I don't think I can wait until the other appointment. And then the doctor was like, yeah, you need to come in, I'm going to book you in straight away. This was another doctor and I went in and I said, he said, so when I arrived at the GP surgery, he was like, we're just going to have a feel and have a look and examine you physically. I said, for what? Cancer? And he said, well, yes, that included. It's like I just knew. I don't know why I kept saying this. I didn't want it to be, but something was, it's like I just knew. Yes, I had to go through investigations and then treatment. I went through ABVD, which is an acronym for the drugs that I had to have. That had the red devil in it. They call it the red devil because it's like a red drug and it's really, really harsh. the treatment that I had is one of the harshest treatments to have. I had that first. A lot of people do that for like 6 months-ish, and that are diagnosed with Hodgkin's lymphoma, and they're okay after that. In my case, that didn't happen. I had a complete remission after 4 months on those drugs, and then they reduced one of the drugs because it causes a lot of like side effects. But I really reacted. I had adverse side effects, rare side effects, and I had like, my body's very sensitive. Things were happening that I couldn't even cope with it, so they reduced one of the drugs to 50% as well, as removing the other drug, even though I had a complete response. So in my mind, I was like, yeah, I don't even need to be here. I'm just going to carry on doing the 6 months and I'm out of here. But that's not what happened. I ended up relapsing twice. One of the drugs that I was on after that, I was supposed to have the ICE treatment, which is intensive chemotherapy for 5 days. And it's really intensive, like 6 hours, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. And then, do you know what I mean? That's why they need to keep you in, and you need to have like different drugs running at the same time as the chemotherapy, so it doesn't affect to protect your organs. So I was supposed to do that. I was so scared. I did try to go into the hospital. I remember phoning Empress, and I just broke down and started crying to her on the phone. And she was just like, if you can't do it, don't do it. Like, you can't force yourself to do it. So I then told the doctors, I can't do this. Like, just being in a hospital environment, all the beeping, all the sound, people in agony, just so much kind of different things going on. Like, it's not a place of rest. It's just very like, whoa, it's overstimulating as well. For me, as an auditory person, it was just sensitive. I'm highly sensitive as well. So it was just too much. I freaked out. Singing saved my life. The only thing I ran to was to sing, to create, to make music. That's what I was doing. So both projects that I'm releasing have been projects that I've done and created while I was going through my treatment. It was the only thing. And even in the hospital, I used to be dancing on my bed. I got a video like that too. Yeah. And I used to wrap my hair with the, listen, I was stylish, you know. I'm telling you, right? I used to wrap my hair like a head wrap with the hospital gowns, and then be wearing the hospital gowns as well. And I'll be there. Listen, I used to dress up for my treatment. I never used to call it treatment. I used to call it a healing session. So I'd be dressing up for my healing session. I'd be looking fly. Obviously, I didn't look fly, but I looked fly. You know what I mean? I made sure that I wore my clothes to make me feel better. And yeah, it was 3 years of treatment. So I went through ABVD. I changed to brentuximab, which is like a type of immunotherapy. So you've got chemotherapy, what I went on with the ABVD. Then brentuximab, I tried that because I couldn't go forward with the ICE treatment. And then that wasn't very helpful for me. I had like some response, but it wasn't very helpful. And they're like, no, you need to do the ICE treatment. So for the ICE treatment, Empress and my sister Marcia came to the hospital with my little goddaughter Azara, and we were doing the butterfly dance in the like the waiting room or whatever for families and stuff. My sister showed me how to protect myself and to put up like a protective shield around me. And I thought about how can I go through the treatment without hearing anything. So I had my headphones on all the time. I didn't hear anything what was going on around me because I just couldn't. I listened to scriptures, I listened to motivational, audio, comedy as well. When I used to go to my healing sessions as an outpatient, because you will go for the day, have your healing, and then go home, I used to do the same thing. And I'll be there sitting there like laughing and stuff like that. And sometimes I used to feel bad because everyone else ain't laughing in the room, but I'm the only one cracking up because, you know, the comedy was funny, like Bernie Mac's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
I had 7 intensive treatments, including a stem cell harvest and stem cell transplant, ABVD, brentuximab, the ice treatment. That's where I was able to harvest my stem cells. I had to have a conditioning chemotherapy as well to make sure that I have enough stem cells. You have to get like over a certain amount, like 1 million or something like that. And they put you on a machine that basically takes your blood out of your body and then puts it back, separates the stem cells. Then they froze those. Every time I was relapsing, I knew how I felt, so I kind of told my doctor, yeah, I'm feeling like something's not right. Because you know how, when you feel well, and you know when something's not right. Eventually, I ended up doing more treatment after the stem cell harvest because I also had a relapse. Now, for that one, pembrolizumab, I was at this point a bit deflated because I was like, yeah, I'm just, nothing's actually, well, things are working, but why isn't it work? What's going on? And I had to look within myself. So I said to my sister Marcia, I felt like this was the one, yeah. And I said, this is the one, you know. So I phoned up my sister and I was like, Marcia, this is the one, you know. All right, let's do this. But I also said that I'm going to be free from this by a certain time, yeah. And I didn't tell no one that part. And I had this little like thing with my doctor as well because every time things were happening, I was telling them before they told me and before like I had scans to confirm what I already knew. So there's this medical term, I can't remember what it is right now, but it's essentially the same thing as like if you just know something before it happens. And I thought, if I can do that and be so in tune with my body, let me see how in tune my body can be if I want to manifest something. But throughout my journey, I was always telling myself, yes, this is going to happen, and it was happening, but then there was doubt coming in as well. So this time, I just had a conviction and I had a conversation with God, yeah. I spoke to God, we had our words, I made my promise, and this is part of the promise, to share what I have within me with the world. I said, yeah, anything you want me to do, I'm ready to do. By the time that I said to myself I was going to be free, I was free. I was free. It was the exact time that I said this is going to happen. Everything happened that I said was going to happen, happened. Like, I ended up doing the stem cell. I ended up having a complete response. I ended up doing the stem cell at the time that I said I was going to do it. And it's just amazing how that happened. And I'm saying that because obviously I don't know for other people, but I definitely know what happened for me. I said that was going to happen and it did, and that's the honest truth. I can't like make that up. I can't give any other, it's not advice, but I'm just sharing my story. So I think that there is a lot of power, and we all do have a lot of power within us, and I tapped into that in that moment. So I think whatever you want to do, whether you're going for a health thing or whatever it is, you need to get your mind right, and you need to get it right within. And don't always tell people what it is until after. There's some things you need to keep here, not there. Yes, 1 year post stem cell transplant. I celebrated my half birthday, the 28th of April, which is halfway between my actual birthday, but it's also the day that I got the news. And I've celebrated on the 12th of April 24, my actual 1 year post stem, my reborn day. Yes, I'm walking slowly, by tiny bit, I'm getting there. I'm not gonna say that I'm walking and I'm here. No, because you know I have fatigue. My body just shuts down. Sometimes for days I'm in bed, you know, and I just have to rest and take it easy. Well, you know, people might discover my journey, my story, or what experiences I've been through, or I might share. And sometimes the response is like, oh, I know someone that passed away of that. At the time when I was going through my journey, it was mad triggering, because it's like all you want is some upliftment, inspiration, positive words, encouragement. You don't want to hear about people passing away from something that you are, a challenge that you're having to face. You know, some people say battle. I wasn't battling, I was just healing. Do you get it? I tried to make everything a healing thing. So it's a challenge that you have to find and navigate your way to overcome. And it doesn't help when people, they don't realize what they're doing, they're not aware, they're not conscious. I think it's a humanistic thing. It's like trying to relate, or maybe you will understand what they've been through, because they might have lost someone and they might say that to you. So it's like they're sharing that moment, and that's what they say, but it's not very helpful for the person who's going through the experience. You need to have awareness. You know, it's not helpful to say those types of things to somebody who's going through that journey. And even now, as I've come out, and I'm still going through the journey, because it can be triggering to me. I'm releasing As Strange As It Seems, which was birthed out of a hard place. It's about hope and resilience. It's about going back to go forward, and it's maybe not something everyone will be expecting, but I'm not that person to do what everyone expects anyway. I'm here to do me. So it's me coming out, in a sense, and sharing my creativity. It's very out there, and I'm gonna stand in that strong. I just want to say that people need to look out for As Strange As It Seems, and the additional project that I'm putting out, Could Be Worse. No, this is a big thing for me, because like I was talking to my mentor the other day. So I'm being mentored by Carol Thompson, right? And she said to me, with your clothes and your style, you're out there, but your music, you're not. It's interesting. We need to get it out there. And then talking to you, you was like, just do it. And I'm gonna share my creations, whatever they may be. I am this, I am that, I am all of that. In whatever capacity, it's still Antiqe, and Antiqe is here, and I'm here to stay.